added a blank thing is because then I want to type in it. Now that's going to be a pain in the neck if it's adding them to the bottom, right? I click the button, I can't even see the thing. It's way down here. Not to mention the fact that my cursor isn't there. So how about we make it so that it adds them at the top? We can't use unshift because it's not an array. So what are we going to do? Let's have a look at our thing list. And it is really worth your while to learn some of these keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to hit Command P or Control P on Windows to open up the fuzzy finder. I'm just going to start typing the name of my file. Any part of the name. I'll type list. All right, there, I found it already. Much easier than using your trackpad and hunting for the right file in this big long list of things. Fuzzy finder. Learn it, love it. So our loop here that spits out all the things. Here are the things, right? That's an object. And we call object.keys. So that we end up with an array that looks like this, right? What we want to do is affect the order of that array. So we can call sort on it. Object.keys returns an array. We can call .sort, which also returns an array. But we have to tell it how to sort. So let's look at the documentation for array sort. The sort method sorts the elements of an array in place and returns the array. The sort is not necessarily stable. The default sort order is according to Unicode code points. So there's two ways to call it, without any arguments and with a compare function as its argument. So if you want to determine how they're sorted, you need to pass it a function. So let's do it. We could throw in an arrow function here, or we could write a named function. Let's write a named function, because although it's a one-line function, it's going to be kind of long. So I'm going to give it the clever name of sort things. And I'm just going to make it a function inside this function. This component, remember, is not a class. It's just a function. But you can have functions inside functions, just like you can have variables inside functions. So const sort things equals an arrow function. So now we can say this dot sort things. So how does this compare function need to work? If compare function is supplied, the array elements are sorted according to the return value of the compare function. So our sort things function is going to need to return something. If A and B are two elements being compared, then if compare function A, B, so it looks like we're going to get two arguments. Let's just call them A and B. And that's just going to be two items in our array. Because what we have to do in this function is tell it how to figure out how to compare any two items in the array. And what are the items in the array? What are the items in the array? Say again? They're not this time. No, you're half right. Yeah, they're just the IDs, right? They're just the strings that are the IDs, because the array is object.keys, props things, not things itself. Very good. So what we really want to do is get the numerical part of that ID and compare it. So let's look at an example. I've put this out on CodePen. We'll link to this in the notes. I'll go ahead and paste this in the afternoon channel. So here's my array, 47239. Let's add this sort function. A minus B. What did it say here? If the return value is less than 0, sort A to a lower index than B, i.e. it comes first. If it returns 0, leave them unchanged with respect to each other, they're tied. If it's greater than 0, sort B to a lower index than A. B to a lower index. So in other words, if you're comparing numbers, what's 4 minus 9 going to give you? A positive number, a negative number, or 0? A negative number. So 4 comes first. Other way around, you get a positive number, so B comes first, the 9. So let's check this out. Let's console log this much. 2, 3, 4, 7, 9. It is now sorted. If we change it from A minus B to B minus A, what do you think is going to happen? It was A minus B, now it's B minus A. Yeah, it's going to be backwards, right? It's going to be from greatest to lowest. There we go, 97432. Get it? Got it? Good. So we can take the numerical portion of the ID, subtract them from each other, and we want the newest things first. So we'll essentially do B minus A, right? But it's not just B because B is a string. So we need the numbers out of there. Who knows what a regular expression is? We used them once last week, very briefly. Who's never heard of that? Okay, that's what I thought. People just plain aren't going to tell me one way or another. So regular expressions are a way of defining a pattern that you search a piece of text for matches against. So it's more complicated than just looking for a particular string within a larger string. You're looking for a pattern. Maybe you don't know exactly the string of characters you're looking for, but you know that it's, say, a series of digits. So getting deep into regular expressions is way beyond the scope of this class, but if you're interested, they're very powerful and useful. So check out a tutorial sometime. We're going to use one real quick. Let's not forget that we have to return the result of our little subtraction problem here. So what I want is the numerical portion of B, because B is the string thing dash some something, right? So I'm going to call b.match. I'm going to pass it a regular expression. Notice in the signature here, you could pass it a string and it'll just search for that string. What we want to search for is one or more consecutive digits, but only digits. So to denote a regular expression, we use forward slashes the way we might use quotation marks around a string. Everything between the two forward slashes is the regular expression. And the one we want is this. One or more digit, 0 through 9. So as soon as we hit one of those numbers, we found a match. And then it'll keep being part of that match until we hit a character that isn't one of those digits. And given the format of these IDs, we know that's going to be basically everything after thing hyphen. But if we change the format of those IDs, take the hyphen out or something like that, this will still work. So that'll give me an array of matches, actually. We just want the first one. Then we want to do the same thing with A. So one number minus another. Because we want it to go from greatest to least, we put B first. We learned that trick over here. And you're just going to take my word for it that this is how we get the numerical portion of that thing. So remember, A and B are the keys themselves, the IDs. Let's see what this does for us. sort this dot sort things, return B match blah 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 minus A match blah blah blah. Now I was hoping to see bib lettuce on top. Let's add a thing. It added it there. That's curious. What do we have here? Let's look at these two things. Yes, I suppose that is a problem. Thank you, sir. ThingList is not a class. It's just a function. So sort things is just a local function. There is no this. Thank you. Now, it's what I expected. Add a thing, that thing goes on top. Add another thing on top. All right, so now sort things by ID.